Hi there, my name's Tyler Roicki. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share why buying this Tiptronic Cayenne GTS was a huge mistake. So it was about 2.5 years ago that I began searching for the perfect Cayenne GTS for me, because it was a vehicle that I had wanted since high school. This was my favorite SUV back in high school, back when they came out, $80,000, $90,000 MSRPs, far before I could afford that. So with some time, with some hard work, and with some depreciation that factored in, I started to seriously consider picking one of these up as a daily driver. And I began the search for the right Cayenne GTS. And so a little bit about my car. This is a 2010 model. I bought it with about 122,000 miles. It currently has close to 161,000 on it. So I've done some good driving in that time frame, but I specifically had a preference towards color. I'm pretty picky when it comes to my cars, so I wanted one that was either black, like this one, especially black on black. My next choice would have been the orange. There's a really cool orange color, if you know what I'm talking about, if you know Cayennes. They're very rare though, so I didn't find one of those. And then I would have been okay with a blue one with the right interior spec, but I got the black one. I found this one at auction, and I'm actually happy it worked out, because I tried to buy a silver one. It wasn't even a color I wanted, but I thought I could get a great deal on it, and it didn't really happen. And then I think a couple weeks later, this one came along, so it worked out great. But before that happened though, here's something that's interesting. I had an opportunity to buy a manual 6-speed Cayenne GTS. It would have been a 2009, I want to say it was a 2009, it might have been a 2008, but it was for sure a manual 6-speed Cayenne GTS. And it was on eBay, and I had been watching it for some time. They had been trying to sell it. It was a dealer up in Michigan. They had been trying to sell it, and it hadn't been moving, so they had been dropping the price on it. And last I saw it on eBay, they were offering it for about $19,000. And if memory serves correct, it had somewhere around 100,000 miles, I believe just a little north of 100,000 miles. But I was looking at it at the time, I was thinking, it's all the way up in Michigan, it's $19,000. If I could find the right deal at a dealer auction, I could get something in the mid-teens, which is what I did. I bought this car, 2010 model. It was the least expensive 2010 model that had ever sold, that had a clean history to my knowledge. There may have been another one out there, but as far as all the sales and everything on the market, and then all the auction values, I was able to buy a 2010 model, clean history, mostly one owner history, for $15,000 at auction. And so I was looking at the prospect of, it's like, well, if I could find the right deal at auction, maybe I could get one for $16,000. And I was looking, okay, $19,000, I've got to go all the way to Michigan. I might go all the way to Michigan and figure out, wow, there's something I didn't realize is wrong with this car. So there's some risk involved and some inconveniences, potentially big inconveniences. So I thought on it, but I decided, you know what, let me get a better deal on a most likely a Tiptronic car from the auction, and that's what I did. But fast forward 2 years later now, it's been 2.5 years since that car was available, and about 2 years since I've had this Cayenne GTS, because I picked it up just over 2 years ago now. But fast forward now, I've added 40,000 miles on the clock. History's still clean. I paid $15,000 at the time where the market value, I got it wholesale dealer auction. Market value was somewhere in the range of $18,000, maybe $19,000 for the market value on this car at the time I got it. So I got a great deal on it. But since I've added 40,000 miles on the clock, and you know, it has additional wear on it now, and more time has passed, 2 years worth of time, they've actually rolled out with a brand new Cayenne since then. So even though I still think this is the meanest looking Cayenne that you can get, it's gotten older. The technology's gotten a little older. So as a result, the $15,000 I paid for this vehicle, realistically the market value probably on a best case scenario today is $15,000, but I think more realistically is probably somewhere in the $13,000 to $14,000 range for the market value. So this vehicle's dropped down in value, and shoot, if I try to trade it at a dealer, I'm not getting 13 grand for it. They might give me closer to like 11 if I'm lucky. But whenever I do move on with this car, which may be in the near future here, I'm probably gonna sell it private party and try to get 13 or 14 grand out of it. But that manual car I just told you about, here's what I didn't realize at the time that I was searching. I didn't realize how rare a manual Cayenne GTS was, and I didn't really even know the production numbers on these. I tried to figure it out. I only real recently figured it out, at least from a forum member on Renlist shared information that they received on the production for the Cayenne GTS for North America. It was roughly 15,700 cars for North America, 2008, 2009, and 2010 model year. However, the manual cars, the ones that came with a manual 6-speed factory option, out of that run of 15,700 over 2008 and 2009, because there were no manuals for 2010 for the Cayenne GTS for North America, limited to 134 cars over 2008, 2009 model year. So this car, even though there were over 15,000 of them, there were only 134 that came with that manual factory option. So I didn't understand just how rare that car was at the time. So as a result, that Cayenne GTS that I could have gotten for under $20,000 with a clean history, and actually, if I remember correctly, had a clean one owner history, which is exactly what I want when I buy a car. That's best case scenario. But anyway, that car, while I could have driven it and owned it to this day and put the same 40,000 miles on it, and it would have gone up in value, this one that I actually got has gone down in value. So that's the bad news. Manual Cayenne GTSs, there have been a number of sales. Over 10 have sold in the past year. There's been a lot that have come through on Bring a Trailer, since it's a unique car and kind of fits that niche for the website. But the most recent sales that have occurred on Bring a Trailer, most of which were vehicles with over 100,000 miles, have sold in the $25,000 range up to about $37,000. And so while this vehicle here is worth, like I said, maybe $14,000, I could have done the same thing with that manual vehicle, and it would have gone up somewhere in the range of $8,000, $10,000. No, actually it would have gone up $10,000 thinking about it, just because, you know, instead of 100,000, it would have 140, 150,000 miles, and it would still be a desirable car. Not that this isn't desirable, but not the same level. And that's one of the things that I look for now going forward with my car purchases. I mean, we all need a daily driver, right? So I kind of throw that out the window with the daily drivers in large part, but just when I look at cars that I desire to own, collectability is a huge factor of it, because I like driving something that has a unique aspect to it. I like that, and then also just knowing the limited supply, limited production. When you have production numbers that small, if you're a car collector, that's something that factors into the equation, because I mean, it really is a scarcity aspect that makes the cars more collectible. And the fact is, as time goes on, it becomes more rare and rare, because you'll have a car that gets crashed, you'll have a car that gets written off, and the one thing that doesn't change is that limited production from the factory. So that's something I look at a lot more specifically now going forward. I like to know the numbers of the cars that I like, and you know, the cars that I'm after going forward. And so anyway, that's why the Cayenne GTS and buying it, this one specifically, was a huge mistake. Don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed the car, but from that aspect that I had a chance to buy something that was extremely more rare, and could have driven it, put some miles on it, and actually had it gone up in value because of that rarity, that makes it a huge mistake. That being said, thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, and I'd all I'd ask is that you would subscribe so that I may keep connected with you and keep sharing my car journey with you. And I don't know how much longer I'm going to have this Cayenne GTS. I'm thinking real hard right now on how I want to replace it as my daily driver and do so over the next few months. So I'm curious to hear as well, what do you think I should replace it with as my next daily driver? Leave me a comment below and let me know what you think I should get and what you'd like to see more videos on. And if there's any final videos you want to see with this Cayenne GTS, share your ideas with me below. As a couple of you know already, I'm receptive. I read the comments. I listen to your input, especially if it's positive. But again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.